Hey guys, Matt here, coming in from Ningbo, China, south of Shanghai by a little bit. I am currently in quarantine in China. I left Chicago, Detroit, then Chicago, to Hong Kong, to here. A week ago, I am 1 week into my quarantine here in China. My wife and daughter are separated from me into another room, enjoying their, as much as you can enjoy it, enjoying their quarantine across the hall and down a few floors. I am recording a few updates as this quarantine progresses through. I have been doing a lot of editing here on this bed, just sort of living. As a matter of fact, I think this mattress has a perfect impression of my body in it, because it's just like I get up every so often, walk around the room, and then come back. I am drinking my typical road mix. Actually, I have I don't know where the thing is. It's called Zip Fizz. It's a vitamin supplement with some caffeine in it, sugar-free. It's very good. Normally, I drink this when I'm cycling around the world, which is what I should be doing. But this virus sort of came into my life, and so now we're doing this. But these will be nice, actually, for me, so I don't take on too much sugar and whatnot. I'm trying to control my intake. When you sit around and do nothing, all you can do is eat, sleep, and work on videos for YouTube. While we're here, we have people fully hazmated up that deliver our food and sometimes give us tests. I haven't received any reply from the tests. I had 2 so far. One swab they put up my nose and in the back of my throat, and another they just did behind my throat. But I guess no news is good news. If I did have COVID-19, they would probably knock on my door and have a bubble for me to step into and transport me to the hospital. So you don't have to tell me if I have a negative. Just don't let me have a positive. The last week has been okay. Kind of flew by, to be honest. I've been working a lot on projects and making use of my time here. I've been talking to some other people in this quarantine hotel. This hotel is owned now by, or leased by the government, and so we're all kind of under their care right now. Understanding what they're doing in order to contain it is actually somewhat appreciative. More than somewhat, to be honest. I've had a few people tell me, I can't believe they separated you from your wife and daughter. That's barbaric. That's horrible. You both were together this whole time and they split you apart when you got to the hotel. Some of them were saying that reinforces the fact that China is being brutal. And don't you wish you were in America? Because they wouldn't do that to you there. Well, we knew that there would be a potential for us to be split when we came here. Originally, we had thought we could self-quarantine in our apartment, which is just on the other side of town. And that's why we were trying to get to Ningbo, because we have a home here. Unfortunately, on the flight over, news was shifting. America's cases were rising. People were bringing the virus into China and reinfecting areas inside China. I think they just said, you know what, I think it's more important that we take each individual and we contain them in places where we can monitor them. And even couples will split up and make sure that each person we can monitor on their own. It is aggressive, but that's one of the reasons we came back, because we knew that China was taking this very seriously, more seriously than maybe other places. Although we did not like to be split up, we understood the reasoning behind it. We decided that, you know what, take it. It is what it is. I just heard a knock on a door out there, so we might get a knock on the door. Normally, we take temperatures ourselves, and we send them to a chat group that the building monitors, and then sends it to the government to make sure that if anybody has a fever, they can get on it right away. But I think people were probably fibbing their fever, or fibbing their numbers really low. I've been watching some of the numbers. They're quite low. I just got a message on the group that they're manually taking the fever once a day at a random time. So I just heard a knock on the door, which means there'll probably be a knock on the door for me. When it comes, I'll just put the camera on the ground so you can see me. get my temperature checked. I don't think they're going to come into the room. They'll probably just, I'll go to the door and then they'll zap me and then we'll go back.
Hi. Hello. Temperature.
Sure.
Okay. Okay.
Good.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Am I frustrated they separated Annie and I? Yeah. Do I understand it? Yeah. Do I appreciate it? In a lot of ways, yeah. I would much rather have them take it too seriously than not seriously enough. If there is a method to the madness of individualizing everybody and then watching them over, it's not because I'm a foreigner that they did this. Everybody does. As a matter of fact, this hotel is much nicer, from what I've heard, than the one that Chinese people get to stay in. So I'm appreciative of all that. If you watched my last video or two videos ago, I said that, you know, that the foreigners get a nicer hotel room, and you know, that's probably because it's somewhat like of a PR thing. Like they want to show that they're treating foreigners a little bit better. And it sounded maybe like I was unappreciative, but that's not true. Very appreciative of what we're getting here. We do have to pay for the room, but I also understand that. I was talking to a guy here from Russia, and he was saying that, you know, the flight leaving Russia to come to China was packed. And so there's a huge influx of people that see that China is one of the countries here that's taking this very seriously. And so a lot of people are rushing in. It's taxing the system. And then China's trying to make it up by, you know, charging for these rooms. Because there's a whole staff of people with hazmat suits that are risking their lives in a lot of ways, and the lives of their families, to check our temperature and take care of us while we're here. And there's a whole system in place, and I appreciate that system. That system is making sure that we're all good. The other thing that I heard from a lot of people was, you really went back too soon. You went back too soon, Matt, because China's going to have its second wave coming up real soon. Already, there are new cases in China, and it's going to explode, and you're going to be stuck there, and you're going to regret leaving the United States. Well, the cases that have been coming up here, a lot of them, if not all of them, have been coming from people like me that have been coming back, which makes what we're doing right now all that more important. So they want to make sure that once we set foot outside this hotel, we are free and clear. On a tangent to that, a friend of mine is in another part of China, and he gets to walk around. So I'm locked in this room. I don't get to leave the hotel. I don't even get to leave the floor. I don't get to integrate with anybody. I don't even have to worry about social distancing because we don't get to get out. Yet my friend, he's kind of out and about walking around, which kind of makes me nervous a little bit, because I think the system should be pretty standardized. If one area is doing it this way, all areas should be doing it that way. That way you have uniformity in the control. But I also understand that different districts do it different ways. Shanghai's a little bit different. Beijing's a little different. Every place is a little bit different. I'm kind of happy that we are in a somewhat stringent hotel that's handling it fairly stringently. So they're saying you left USA and you're in China, and they're going to have a second wave. Well, if there's a second wave, they're going to squash it just like they did the first. And everybody here, they already know what to do. They already understand what was needed to suppress it the first time. They also know what can happen if it gets out of hand. Firsthand, they've seen the news. They've seen family members and whatnot locked in Wuhan. They've seen how bad it can be if it does not get under control. And they have that memory in their head, so they know, I think, that if it does pop up in pocketed areas, they're just gonna lock down the city again, wherever it is, and they're gonna sweat it out in a much better and more methodical way than almost anywhere. I think South Korea is doing a very good job. Japan seems to be doing a very good job. Hong Kong has been doing a pretty good job. I don't think that it's an impossibility that we have another resurgence here, but I don't think that it would get out of hand like it might be in Italy or other places, or like it would be a repeat of Wuhan. I think the country has learned its lesson. And then leaving the United States, I have one family member already has COVID-19. He's okay so far, which is great. But they don't have enough tests. They don't have the methodology in place to test people like they have here or in South Korea. They don't have a grasp on it. And it is going out of control. If you've seen the exponential curve of people that are coming up with this virus, it supersedes what China was way back in the day when this first exploded here. And China had the circumstances where it had come from nothing, so it had come out of the market or wherever, and it kind of started barreling through. They were unprepared and unknowing, and they had to kind of get with the program real quick, and they got it under wraps. Whether you believe that or not, that's what I believe. And so United States is going to have a longer road, and it could get crazy. So no, I'm very happy with the decision that we made to come here, and if this is what we have to do in order to have our comfort and have our comfort of mind, comfort of, and if that's what we need in order to feel like that's what China has got under wraps, then I think that's a price that I'm very willing to pay. I also had a few people telling me that I'm some sort of shill for the government here, and it's not really about that. It's really about the single response to the single virus. China is doing it as good as the people in the world that are doing it the best way. And I have a home here. My wife is here. Her family is here. So we're here. It's possible I had family in Korea, then I might go to South Korea, but I don't. I have family here. So this is what we did. And for the people saying that I'm the cause of the problem, jumping back and forth, I don't know what to say to you guys. We left Ningbo in a hurry. We knew that we were okay. We took all the precautions necessary. We didn't just jump out and go to a bar. We self-quarantined in Chicago for 15 days. We tried to isolate ourselves from as many people as possible. We really, really went above and beyond. And when we came back to China, we did the same way. Look at where we're at right now. So for some of you that say we're the cause of the problem, I beg to differ, but I also understand people are frustrated. So nothing I can do to assuage the anger or vitriol from some of you people. But it is what it is. Eva and Annie are doing okay. Stinker Dinker is playing and being a really, really good kid to Annie. So I'm very happy that she's taking care of herself and making sure not to tax mom too much. So that's good. But yeah, I think I'll just make a quick little blurb every day, just something for you guys for the last week that we have this quarantine. I'm working on a lot of videos, so I'm just going to make these simple. I have a cooperative video that's going to come up, actually. There's a guy that a lot of you, some of you know it. There's a gentleman called Daniel Dumbrell and Guilo60 and a guy named Alex. They sent me a message, and they said we do this weekly podcast, and we talk about a topic, but we also talk about what life is going on, and we do it as a four-person video. And so I said, hey, they said, our fourth is not able to do it. Would you like to do it? We've seen your videos, and we're just interested in having you take part in our conversation. So I said, sure. I posted an ad for it on the channel, and I got some hate. Calling me a shill and saying a bunch of stuff. I'm just having a conversation with people, guys. I think some of you have to really, really lighten up and relax and the topic of the video, the guiding topic, although most of it is just going to be conversational, is called xenophobia, which is like the anger towards to Chinese around the world based on probably the situation that's going on right now, and how Chinese in general are sort of being blamed and ostracized around the world for what's happening right now. I will tell you that every Chinese person I bump into right now, they did not create this virus or have anything to do with the creation of this virus. And that's what I'm going to talk about in the video. I'll also say that the opposite might happen to me when I exit this room. There's a lot of frustration, I'm sure, in the population here for being labeled, and hate begets hate, and anger creates anger. And so I have a feeling that I might get some prejudice or some sidelong glances or some anger from people. I'll share it with the video. I'm an equal opportunity person, so I will just show you my life. So it should be an interesting conversation with these three guys, and love it or hate it, I'm gonna do it. Project I have, this YouTube project, is I try not to cater it, to I just tell about life, and I try to be honest. So I don't know. People are gonna probably hate this video for some reason. It's very interesting when you start putting your life out on video. There's even a sect of people that said, you have enough money to travel, most people don't, and somehow I should feel bad about that. I travel all around the world. I don't live in a mansion, and my wife does have a fairly large family here in China, I live my life, you live your life, and I never say I'm better than anybody. It's interesting. I lived in Detroit for a while, my whole life for a while. And then I eventually got a job on a yacht in Detroit, and the boat, it was a big boat yacht. It traveled down to Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I crewed it. I was first mate. I lived in the bow of the boat. I cleaned the boat every day, cleaned the engines. I mean, I worked hard on that boat. But my life was quite easy. I was paid a good salary. I slept on the boat. I didn't have room and board was paid for, so it was all gravy. But when I arrived in some of these really expensive docks where some of the richest people in the world dock their boats, I started meeting them. And they were, 100 millionaires with yachts that were worth $20 million, $30 million, $100 million. In fact, Limitless was a yacht there. I think Limitless was owned by the guy that owns Old Navy and Victoria's Secret. He had 3 boats. They were like $100 million boats. It was crazy. But one thing that I did learn is that they were no different from you or me. It was very inspiring, actually, to see these people and realize that they might be extravagantly wealthy, but they were just like you or me. They just had a different set of factors that went into their life to lead them to where they are. And I did not see them as any better than me, and I did not see myself as any better than them. I think there are a lot of factors that are involved in that equation that go into it before money and how you spend it, I have seen in my cycle travels people with what I would think of as nothing, that wear a smile and have a demeanor that makes them richer than any wealthy person I've ever met. So we have sort of a hand that's dealt, and we play our cards as well as we can based on what we want out of life. And I mean, I've been in 6 figures in debt, minus, and I've had some good times and I've had some bad times, and that makes us who we are. So people that are angry at me for traveling and trying to make the safest steps possible for me and my family, I don't know what to say to you guys. Anyways, this thing has gone kind of long. I wanted it to be short. But take it easy, guys. Have a good one. Jayoe, and I'll catch you tomorrow, probably.